John Gilligan gave his address today, the new Rangers chairman, and he talked a lot about Dave King, which has been a topic of conversation on the Hotline Live many times. Before I bring you guys in, I'll actually just read out some of his comments. Gilligan said, "I think he, as in Dave King, has got it wrong. I think it's unfair. What exactly is he not good? What exactly is he saying wrong? Give us a plan and tell me. If Dave had some terrific plan to tell me where we all are going wrong, then we would read the plan and we would consider it." I'm trying to think, has any other director or any person said anything about Dave? No. And he goes on, obviously, there's a much fuller extended quotes in Fraser's wonderful piece on Record Sport Online. But yeah, it was, some interesting comments, Fraser.
Yes, he said a lot because he was asked a lot. He wasn't, we were probing away and he wasn't really giving much away at first. Very complimentary towards the man that he said gave him one of the happiest days of his life when he asked him to join his gang in ousting Mike Ashley nearly 10 years ago. But then obviously with the came in with a big clunking fist saying, look, I would ask Dave King to behave like a proper shareholder. Basically to shut up. Stop stirring.
Sit down and shut up, Dave. That's the subject.
Put him right back in his box. Did it well, to be fair. And he's got a point, hasn't he? I mean, I don't think the Rangers punters are too pleased seeing this kind of dirty laundry aired across the back pages every second day. And to be fair, it's all coming from Dave King's side, isn't it? Seems desperate to get back into the chairmanship, despite the fact that it didn't take him much to up and leave at the height of the COVID crisis just 4 years ago. So, Gilligan was very kind of restrained at first, but finally gave us what we wanted and told Dave King to shut up and get back in his box and forget an EGM and forget becoming chairman again, because it's very unlikely, he said.
What did you make of it, Keith?
It's more than very unlikely. It's just not going to happen. I just don't. At a time when Rangers don't have their troubles to seek, Dave King jumps out like a jack-in-the-box and starts throwing grenades around from his bunker in Johannesburg. It's just unhelpful. I think he's misread the crowd, misread the room, and that he probably believed that he could do the old Pied Piper routine and everybody would jump in line and follow him, because that's what happened previously. But Dave King's a busted flush in the eyes of vast majority of Rangers fans now. And by the way, the current board is not much better in terms of how they're viewed by the supporters. But Dave King constantly bickering from the sidelines and saying that he would do it better, and they've heard it all before. It's empty rhetoric and it's unhelpful, and it just continues this sort of a picture of chaos that John Bennett during his time in the chair, and I know there'll be a lot of fans that are highly critical of John Bennett's time as chairman, and I think unfairly so. One thing that he was desperate to do was inject a bit of calm authority, remove the chaos, stop fighting with everybody, stop starting fights in empty rooms with authorities, with other clubs, even in-house. They've been fighting like rats in a sack for too long now. And John Bennett was very keen to try and recalibrate the whole thing and make it more user-friendly, if you like. Just make Rangers less of a soap opera. And ultimately, it became the ultimate soap opera because of what happened with the stand, the redevelopment, Ibrox having to shut down, Rangers being kicked out their own place and having to go homeless for a period. That's a really sad and bitter irony, and I feel sorry. I've said it before. I feel sorry for John Bennett that he's had to leave the position. Obviously, health must come first, but also under a bit of a cloud. He was moving the club in the right direction, and then along comes Dave, and he spots an opportunity because John Bennett, who he says is I think he described him as a friend, a close friend. I don't think John Bennett will be thanking anybody for Dave King trying to create this stushy again. It's unhelpful, and I struggle to see the strategy in it, because it was never going to work. It was never going to, as John Gilligan correctly said, there was no mechanisms, no lever for for an EGM other than for the board to call one of them on their own. It just wasn't going to happen. I suspect that Dave King will have a plan somewhere. I'm not sure what it is. I think he's probably first and foremost trying to protect his own shareholding. But I did say, I wrote a piece the other week, and at the end of it I said, if John Bennett's legacy is that this now feels like the time for radical change, for outside investment, for fresh eyes, for a more strategic leadership model to be introduced, something more modern and contemporary, take away the sort of bowling club approach that I think is going on, and the sort of, this current model of fan ownership. It's just wealthy fan ownership, but it is fan ownership. It's not working. And they really need a real modernisation, a change of approach. And that can only come from outside investment. And I've noticed they're still very guarded about that. John Gilligan saying, "Oh, we wouldn't want one person to come in." And the more and more you look at Rangers, the more and more it feels as if that's exactly what is required. One leading voice, one guy. Celtic have got Dermot Desmond. He calls the ultimate shots, but he's got in place his real crack team of executives, a top chairman, used to be the chief exec. Everything is perfectly structured at Celtic, and I think Rangers need to move towards something much more like that, and as quickly as possible. And if that would be the legacy of John Bennett standing down, if this does create an opportunity for change, then I think change is required. It's just not change back to the bad old days of Dave King. It's a completely different reset that the club needs to have.
I was going to say that, because if there was one thing I was looking for from today, other than him biting back at Dave King, was maybe something a bit more revolutionary, as you say, something different in terms of investment, fresh investment. But it was just more a message of, keep calm and carry on. Let's stabilise. Let's settle. Steady the ship.
John Gilligan's the continuity candidate there, isn't he? And I'm not sure that continuity is really what anybody at Rangers needs right now, because if it's a continuation of the missteps that have been made over the last period of time, the Rangers fans are growing tired of it. They're growing tired of some of their own players. They're growing tired of Dave King and the interventions. They're growing tired of the constant bickering. I compare Dave King. Dave King is now the directorial Cyril Dessers. They've had enough. They've seen it. They know it doesn't work, and they want something different. Well, so that's essentially where they're at just now. I think this club is now crying out for more radical and a modernisation, radical change, and a sense of modernisation, and that's going to have to come from out with the room, because it's not in the room, and I don't think they can continue to struggle along like this indefinitely.
Because Gilligan's words today were that if there's to be investment to come, which it will come, his words were, it's that the current investors are ready to go to the well again. So it's exactly what you've just said, that there's nothing fresh, there's nothing new about it.